Dave Scott, Hub Media. Wow, what an opportunity I got today. This is Rose Cora Perry, lead singer. Your band's called The Truth Untold. I just found out about you a couple days ago, and I love it. I got to tell you, I love it. And I hear you're coming to Haldeman, Norfolk, so tell us all about that.
We're super excited. So this is actually a funny kind of full circle situation for me. So I've been doing music and rock and roll for a good chunk of my life. I actually started fairly young as an ankle biter at about age 4. I started classical training, and then when I was a teenager, I started my very first rock band. And one of our very first gigs, believe it or not, was playing the infamous Pottahawk Piss Up. So that's the last time I have played the Turkey Point area and Simcoe area. And it was a heck of a time. I remember legitimately after we finished our set, we were on a barge in the middle of Lake Erie. I stage dove off of that and went for a swim because, I mean, why not? The opportunity was there. I mean, it was a hot, beautiful day. I had just rocked out. I was sweating. I'm like, there's water. I'm going to go for it.
That's right. Enjoy
It's
it.
pretty convenient. Yeah, absolutely. So my parents are longtime cottagers in the Turkey Point area. I'm very familiar with being all around there. I spent a lot of my youth going down to our cottage. So at Turkey Point and, Norfolk County, all of that has always held a special place in my heart because of so many wonderful memories, from playing Pottahawk Piss Up to chasing my dad with my brother with super soakers around our cottage. To having our dogs there, having bonfires, all that wonderful stuff, just cottage country in the summer of Canada when we get 2 good months a year. So really, really excited to be bringing my latest project, The Truth Untold, to perform for not only at MacDonald Marina in Turkey Point, but for a phenomenal cause. So this is an annual Civic holiday bash on Sunday, August the 6th, where we're also raising funds for the London Children's Hospital. So you get to enjoy a rock and roll concert with ourselves, our friends in Drop Disco, which are a phenomenal kind of blues rock band local to the area, as well as an amazing cover band called The Ride that do like classic hard rock covers, everything from Steppenwolf to Deep Purple. So it's going to be 3 rockin' lineup of bands, rock and MacDonald Marina. All ages are welcome, and all the donations and proceeds go to the London Children's Hospital. So it's for a great cause too. So what better combination can you have than that?
And I think that's a 6 p.m. start. I'm not sure, but I do believe that. All right, let's get into the music stuff now. This is where Not My Time. You released that song last year. Blew me away. Loved it. And the lyrics were excellent. I got to tell you that I've seen some of your other interviews, and you talked a bit about the lyrics and what they meant. For those folks that haven't, I think your YouTube is at Rose Cora Perry, correct, on YouTube? Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I'll put that below so folks can check you out. Talk a little bit about that song, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you so much for your kind words. I'm glad that it spoke to you. So I think it goes without saying that the last couple of years have been interesting all across the globe, all across humanity. And something that really, really bothered me was kind of all the toxicity and negativity that I was seeing between different camps of people. So I think it goes without saying that the pandemic affected all of us, whether that was on a mental health level, an emotional level, a physical level, because we couldn't physically leave our houses and see loved ones and partake in, hobbies or recreational pursuits that are really important to us, or an economic level due to job loss. Like on so many different tiers, we were affected. And I think it's really, really important to acknowledge that this was a human experience. It wasn't isolated to one group over another. So I guess what I found really kind of bothersome about that is that everybody seemed to lose sight that this was a human experience. And instead it became, sort of a fight between the pro and the anti camp. And everybody was failing to acknowledge, hey, we're kind of all in this together. We've all suffered in a variety of ways, and one person's suffering is not more important or less important than somebody else's. We've all been affected. We all just need to take a step back, realize that, hey, yeah, we're angry. Yeah, we went through this really profound emotional experience. Maybe we're sad. Maybe we're angry. Maybe we have emotions that we don't know how to cope with right now because we don't know how to cope with the circumstances that we've been through. But the last thing that we should be doing is taking it out on each other. So after battling COVID myself and physically going through that experience, I was inspired to write this song for a variety of reasons. Number one, it wasn't my time to die, and I'm so damn thankful for that every single day. But I also wanted to really give people a sense of hope that, hey, if you're struggling with whatever's going on in your life, I know that it's been tough for all of us, but it's not your time to give up on yourself or each other. We can all come together.
The message behind that too, like you said, it crosses over to so many different areas: mental health, what folks have put them through, maybe economic struggles. You did a great job in making that message very broad and helpful for a lot of different people. Rating that, getting down to the nuts and bolts here, rating that, did it all just hit you? Was this a long process? Because it seems to me that thought was pretty clear. Like, that song's message is very clear. Talk about that? You're sick, you're inspired. Did it just come, or was it a labor of love?
Yeah, 100%. So I've never been somebody to kind of shy away from stating fairly bold opinions, for better or for worse. I'm an Italian gal. We're pretty assertive and confident in kind of our standings. And I was raised to be that way. I was raised to be tough by both my parents. So if I have an opinion, I tend to not really pussyfoot around it, to be honest. So as far as kind of the inspiration behind writing the song and how it came to me, it was honestly, I was recovering. I had been bedridden for a couple of weeks, feeling really, really awful. And all of a sudden I just started hearing the lyrics and the melody in my head, and it needed to get out on pen and paper. And I picked up my guitar again. Like, I'm still gross. I'm probably wiping away snot while I'm doing all of this. Not glamorous at all, not rock and roll, but I heard this beautiful idea in my head and it just came out. And honestly, when I listen to that song, sometimes I'm still pretty darn shocked that it came from me. I'm like, wow, I wrote that. That's pretty awesome.
You know what? I was talking to a guy that was a photographer about that the other day. It's hard when he takes a picture. I said, when you go and you look at that picture, do you see it as you took it?
Mm-hmm.
With that song, it must have been like that. That's your song. But then you're like, wow, you're looking at this and you're this entity going, holy heck, what did I just do? Right. Or, that's mind boggling. And then you get to play it on stage, which is excellent. The harmonies on that is excellent. I think Jessie is your bass player, right?
That's right. Yep.
And she sings backup with you. And is it Tyler is your drummer?
Tyler's my drummer and my spouse. Yep.
And I'm sorry, Andy's.
And my spouse. So
there you go.
So
That's great.
Tell
Tyler I say hi. Great work in the video. Tell him the FBI code.
Oh no, I mean it's hilarious. He's so nonchalant and unassuming personality wise, but man, he is so good at commanding the screen. Like, I didn't have to give him any direction. He just like knew who to be as that FBI agent, and he did it so well. Like, I was convinced. I'm like, you are an FBI agent at this point.
He keeps you in line, obviously, because you're the outspoken one. He's the strength behind the scenes there. That's pretty cool. I did notice one of the other things I wanted to talk to you about, because it seemed important to you. You talked I think it was on another interview or on your bio, a little bit about battling depression. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really important for people to see that, look at you, you're bouncing back. You know that's something you're going to deal with, but you make the best of it and you move forward. Talk, if you don't mind. I mean, this is a little bit out of the realm, but I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think it goes without saying that most people have a pretty tumultuous time in their teenage years. It's kind of a time where we're trying to find ourselves. There's a lot of competing interests in terms of influences that we might be subjected to, from our peers to what's on the media and social media to our parents, all trying to kind of give us guidance in terms of where we should go. And ultimately, we're trying to figure it all out together. And at the same time, there's pressure to be cool and to fit in and to do this or that. And it goes without saying that, obviously as an outspoken person and being the only goth chick at a Catholic prep school, I didn't really fit in.
Oh, we could go on for hours, couldn't we?
Probably. It's pretty good content for sure. But I never really found my place until I found music. And so for many, many years, I found myself, unfortunately, the subject of people who were bullying me. And I mean, I can't speak to what was going on in their lives. I'm sure that, they probably had their own struggles too and didn't know how to deal with it. Again, this is not about villainizing anybody, but I found myself, unfortunately, not in a great position where I got picked on a lot. I was made to feel pretty darn crummy about who I was, just because I was smart and different and a little bit, outside of the realm of quote unquote what's supposed to be normal. And I was also in an environment that was very much about conformity with the uniforms and everybody, following suit. And that wasn't me. I've always kind of been a little bit outspoken and had different opinions and thought about things in a different way. So long story short, I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. And I think that's something that's so important to talk about from a human level, that feeling of isolation and feeling of alienation, like you don't fit in and you don't find your people. And so, truthfully, the only thing that got me through it at the end of the day was being able to discover music. And I never, growing up had ambitions to become a rock musician. That was so far from the realm of where I saw myself. As I said, I started classical training when I was about 4. I actually had aspirations to go on Broadway and become the next Sarah Brightman and do all those things. But then I got recruited into my first rock band as a teenager, and I realized how powerful this genre was, not only as a cathartic experience and expression of what you're going through emotionally, but also being able to resonate with people in a really, really powerful way. And after I started playing my first couple of concerts and writing my first songs and seeing people sing along and seeing people, being able to relate to my experiences and what I was talking about lyrically, even things that I was writing from what I would have thought were a distinct female experience, I had male fans saying that they could really relate to my lyrics and it made a difference for them. And I was like, wow, this is such an incredibly, incredibly powerful thing that I never want to take it for granted. So in basically finding a way to cope with the craziness I was going through with my own life, my mixed emotions, my feelings of insecurity, my self-esteem battles, my feelings like I didn't belong and I didn't fit in and that nobody understood me, I turned to music. I found a way to healthily, and that's kind of the key part of this, healthily express my inner demons, so to speak, put pen to paper, pick up a guitar, let that rage out, let that sadness out. I found that was a really, really important, meaningful way, not just for me to be able to deal with things, but for others too, because they could hear a little piece of themselves in what I was doing musically, the same way that the artists that have influenced me have done that for me. And I haven't looked back since.
It's amazing because that story right there can have such a great effect on young ladies and men everywhere. Like, you're totally right. We all feel at some point in our lives like we don't belong, and we're trying to get through that situation. And you explained it very well. That when that rating hit in that period too, that must have been just such an outlet for you. Like you just said, it probably just opened doors, and there was this freedom suddenly to just to express yourself through music, and that's incredible.
100%. And I mean, as I said, I haven't looked back. I certainly didn't perceive that life would take me in this direction, but sometimes life happens and it happens for a reason, whether or not those reasons are clear at the time. And it's clearly where I needed to go. And I feel just so thankful that even if it's only been in a small capacity, I'm certainly not an Alanis Morissette, but even if it's only been in a small capacity, knowing that my music has resonated with others and made a difference for them too. That's just, you can't ask for more as a songwriter.
And this will be my last question, because I know you got to get going. There's so many areas I want to go to today, but we're out of time. Guitarist. I mean, yes. I watched you wail, man. Like, who do you like to, who are some of your favorites?
So I first off would call myself I play guitar. I wouldn't ever call myself a quote unquote proper guitarist. I'm self-taught. I play very down and dirty. I'm a downstroking queen, and to the point where I have to use gauge 12 strings on my guitar because I reef on it so hard that otherwise it will go out of tune. And I think that's just kind of part of my shtick, right? Like, I mean, I am doing this to be really raw and authentic and just be who I am. So I never tried to study guitar to become technically proficient, to become an amazing shredder. And I've got all the respect for those players in the world. But first and foremost, I've always considered myself a singer-songwriter. Guitar I play to accompany my voice and not the other way around. And that's why my music is always melody driven, because I want people to listen to what I have to say, because that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. I'm a singer and I have a message and I'm trying to put it out there in the world. So as far as guitarists, oh my gosh, my all-time favorite guitarist, and you'll probably laugh at this because I play nothing like him and never will, but Richie Sambora of Bon Jovi. To me, he is the epitome of perfection. How he writes his solos perfectly complement John Bon Jovi's vocal melodies. It's like that was a match made in absolute heaven. I love other guitarists as well, but for me, he's the end all and the be all. And I know I play nothing like him, but that's okay. I play my way. He plays his way. I usually actually get compared a lot to Joan Jett because I do that rhythm kind of straightforward, punky sort of feel. And hey, that's a heck of a compliment too, because she's a pioneer among rock and roll women. So I'll take it.
I thought that was my last question, but I'm going to give you one more. I'll just slip one more in real quick. No, that's important because I want to ask you what advice you'd give to a young musician starting out today. You've been doing this for what, 20 years easily.
For a
So
while.
yeah, no, we're not going to give away any more information than that. Sorry, but what advice would you pass on?
Be yourself. I mean, you should be doing this for yourself, first and foremost, as a creative outlet, as something that gives food to your heart and your soul, and don't have any preconceived notions of what you should or should not be doing. It will come to you, and it should be authentic, and it should be real. You can go out there if you want and write songs just to make them radio hits, but that's never been my modus operandi. I would rather be authentic and genuine, and if it resonates with people, awesome. If it doesn't, oh well. There are a million other bands out there that will be able to reach people. I mean, everybody's got really subjective ideas and opinions on what is quote unquote good music, but if something doesn't have to be good in your opinion to be good to somebody else, right? Like, I think that's the thing about art. Art resonates with people in different ways. There's no right or wrong way to do things. But I think ultimately when it comes down to being an artist, whether you're being a painter or a writer or being a musician, I think it's really, really, really important to be doing it for the right reasons and to be driven by being authentic and being true to yourself and not letting anybody kind of influence that or tell you what is right and what is wrong in that capacity, because there's no right or wrong way to be an artist. You're just being yourself. It's an entity that's an expression of who you are.
Wow. Thanks for doing this today. We got to get together again soon. And
I'll hold you to that, my friend.
and have a great time at Turkey Point. Stay out of trouble, will you?
Oh, I'm so tame.
All right. We'll talk again soon. Take care.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Dave. Rock on. And for those who have been listening, really, really appreciate you taking the time. Hope to see you in person. And please do check out my official website in the meantime if you want to learn more about what we're all about. It's just www.rose like the flower, Cora, which is Cora, Perry like Joe Perry from Aerosmith.com.